if you're sitting in a position that's not human-like, we're supposed to be standing, we're supposed to be erect. I mean, there's a lot of spinal compression going on. That's just where it starts.
Hello, carnivores, and welcome to session number 111. The Desk Coach is our featured guest today. Coach Steven helps 9-to-5 desk workers to reduce pain, improve posture, and perform like pros by building a strong body that resists sitting. Steven was diagnosed with epilepsy 8 years ago and has been able to put his seizures and other symptoms into full remission using the carnivore diet. Steven and I connected a couple weeks ago and he commented his testimonial onto a reel that I posted doing what I do, calling out a bad coach that was talking shit about the carnivore diet. And so I reached out and asked if he would like to share his experience and what he's learned on our show. So here we are. Steven, welcome to Carnivore Coach's Corner, my man.
I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here. This is really awesome. Yeah, carnivore it works, man. It's an awesome thing. So I'm glad we're able to talk about it.
Yeah, anybody that knows me around here anymore, whenever I'm talking about health, or it could be working out, it could be anything like music. For crying out loud, it's like, let me guess, the carnivore diet makes it better. Let me guess, the carnivore diet makes it better. And yeah, man, it's like I don't know. I think it's kind of the closest thing that we've found to the fountain of youth. So, yeah. What do you eat in a typical day, man?
I'm definitely in that beef, like ruminant animals, and then eggs. And then I cook with tallow and butter. I pretty much mainly stick to that. I'm probably in the 1.5 to 2 pounds of red meat a day kind of person. And then some eggs, I am not against eating really anything that's animal related, meat, like pork, chicken, whatever. I always go for the beef, though. I always go for the ruminant animals, but really, as long as I'm eating that stuff and getting enough fat, that's my basis. But I know, I can tell when I get hungry, like 1 pound's not enough. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, depends what I'm doing. But really, it's just meat, eggs, and cooking in butter and tallow. So,
yeah, definitely. Why do you prefer red meat over monogastric animals? So for our listeners, monogastric animals means they have one stomach, right? That would be chickens, pigs. Red meat, we're referring to animals that are ruminants, that have 4 or more stomachs. And so that's lamb, that's venison, right? That's bison, beef, obviously. And so why do you gravitate more towards red meat?
I do, I think that's where your biggest bang for your buck's going to be in terms of nutrition. And I find too, you can eat chicken, but you're going to have to get a lot more fat in there too if you don't want to feel hungry. Yeah. So I guess in less words, it's like, I know the amount I need to eat. I know I get the most nutrition from ruminant animals. So I'm also not going to be hungry often too. It's like the best way that I can regulate my system and my hormones. So I'm never hungry. When I do get hungry, I eat. But when you eat carnivore and you're focusing on the most nutrient dense things, you're going to eat, you're going to stop when you're full, you're going to perform well. And then when you get hungry again, you'll eat again. And that's just the best way I can regulate what I'm doing in my life right now. Again, I could eat chicken, but like, I got to add a lot of fat to it, or I get hungry later or something like that. Still great. But I gravitate to the red meat because it's going to keep me like feeling like human more than anything else. So
definitely. Yeah. I was grocery shopping with my client, Justin, yesterday, and we're looking at, the cost of everything, obviously. And so my whole goal in there is to spend as little money as possible, like anybody when you're going grocery shopping. And he was asking about chicken and pork and why I'm always going for red meat. And what I was explaining to him is that chicken and pork they're great for being able to get your protein gram for gram. but it's not going to have the minerals. It's not going to have the trace nutrients that you're going to get from red meat, right? And he's bulking, and so it's a little bit different. But people that are cutting in particular, staying satiated for sure, man. It's night and day difference for me. Just chicken does not keep me full very long. Tilapia for sure doesn't keep me full for very long. And the first time that I ever really started dieting, I was doing a lot of tilapia and a lot of vegetables, because that's what everybody on the internet says you're supposed to do to be able to cut calories, right? And so if you're on a budget, then yeah, any of those protein sources will work. But I was just listening to Dr. Kiltz this morning. He had a phenomenal live yesterday on Sunday, and he was talking about how when you do the carnivore diet, just don't think about protein. Just think about getting fats in it. If you can just focus on getting fatty beats in, then you'll hit your protein requirements minimum by accident.
Right.
And so those lean sources, not only are they missing just the actual fat content in terms of grams that your body really needs, but the trace minerals too. And it's also much more bioavailable from what I understand. If you think about it, if that food that you're eating was grass at one time, it was vegetables at one time, but it's been digested 4 times compared to one time if it's from a monogastric animal. So it just kind of makes common sense that it's more bioavailable, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess beef is just kind of like that perfect meat to me. And you could say the same about like maybe higher fat, like venison or something like that. But like for me, I just buy like 80-20 ground beef. And sometimes it's 73, it's higher. But I just know that in that, it's like an egg where it's like the perfect combo. It's like 5 to 6 grams of protein, 5 to 6 grams of fat. And when you go for that 80-20 ground beef, you can make a pile of it, take whatever. And you just eat that until you're full and you're good. And then when you're hungry again, do that again. That might be 2 times a day for someone. That might be 1. It might be 3 smaller meals. I don't know. You just got to go with it. But I know that when I'm full, I stop, I eat later. You will naturally get all the protein you need, and you will get all the fat you need too, without having to do things like, all right, let me eat a chicken breast and then add butter to it. That's great, but when you have an animal like a cow that has multiple stomachs that can kind of take that grass and it's almost like it provides such clean nutrition because it's been filtered through so many times. They're perfect at doing this. So I'm eating things that are like making me perform well, and they are the most bioavailable thing that I could eat. And it's like, I don't have to think anymore. Like I just got to eat till I'm full. And people are like so worried about like calories and things like that. And you have to eat until your hormones tell you you're good, Yeah. And if you choose those fattier cuts, you're not going to not get enough fat too. So it's just the easiest thing for me,
Definitely. Yeah. One of the biggest pushbacks that I get is that I can't afford to do the carnivore diet. And I'm like, if you do the carnivore diet right, you should only be consuming like 3 or 4 ingredients by the end of the day. If you're doing tallow, butter, eggs, I do eggs because that is kind of my budget hack. I mean, eggs are way cheaper than beef. That's for sure. Here in San Diego, beef is extremely expensive too, and so I'm supplementing with eggs kind of as needed, depending on what my budget's like. And I'm eating a keto brick every day, especially the ones that have tallow in them. So I don't feel like I'm straying too far from from the lion diet in that regard. I'm doing what I call a dirty lion diet. And so it's keto bricks, protein powder here and there, mostly to save costs and for convenience. But frozen burger patties at Vaughn's or Safeway. Safeway, I believe, owns Vaughn's. That's where I do my grocery shopping. 80-20 frozen beef patties are the per gram the cheapest source of red meat in the store. And so like if you're on a really tight budget, yeah, you can, you can use pork, you can use chicken. Those are obviously a lot cheaper. But I picked up a chuck roast that was on sale too. So that's what I was telling this guy. When you go into a grocery store, sales shop for red meat. So anything that has a sales sticker on it, look at it. And it kind of works in your favor too, because most of the stuff that you do see on sale either has like too much fat on it, or it's just like not really a choice cut. And so those cuts that have more fat on them obviously is what you and I want. That works towards our favor.
Yeah. Yeah. I think beef patties, the frozen ones, like you said, are so underrated. And I always buy those big packs, because it's like, and same with the roast. It's like, okay, I can go to, Costco or Sam's, whatever you guys have, and I can buy, like the other day I went to Sam's Club and I bought a 7-pound lamb roast. And I eat more than 7 pounds of red meat in a week, obviously, but you look at the back and it's just like, it's got a little more fat than the protein. So maybe in a serving, it's got 20 grams of protein, but it's got like 24, 25 grams of fat. And you cook that in the crock pot overnight. And I had food all week. And then, like you said, I take those eggs, like I buy 2 24 packs per week. So 48 eggs at the store. And then, okay, now I'm done. I did the whole shopping for the week, and I want to have variety. So I'll eat a steak one day, but you go in there, and if you're buying all the produce, all the oils to cook that produce, if you're one of those people that eat cereal every day and coffee and whatever, you're buying all that too. But that stuff doesn't provide you the bang for your buck that meat does. So I go in there, I spend 20 minutes, I spend $80, maybe 100, and I have a week's worth of food. And it's like, nothing hurts me anymore. Like, what I mean? It's like, I feel like as superhuman as like people are trying to achieve, but you can just do that by removing some variables. And so I know I could talk about this forever, but I do the same thing. It's like beef and eggs. There's just no easier way to do that. And that's just how it is. So.
Yeah. You were talking about meal timing and satiety earlier, and how you can tell when you're hungry when you're on the carnivore diet, because if you're snacking throughout the day, it's hard. Like you really can't tell if you're experiencing something that's a craving or if you're experiencing actual true hunger, and when you should probably eat because you need to fuel your recovery or whatever, right? Most people eat because they're bored, they're stressed, and they view food as entertainment. You and I don't view food as entertainment, right? We view food as fuel. How do you your meal timing? Sorry, that's where I was going with that. Do you snack throughout the day? And the reason I ask this is because when if you are eating foods that are feeding cravings, that creates a trigger that creates another craving. And then so you're in a loop now, similar to like an alcoholic or like a drug addict, really, and can't really stop. And so you're never ever really getting in tune with what your satiety signals are actually trying to say to you, right? Grains are actually more addictive than morphine. This has been proven in studies. Right? And so that's why people that eat 3, 4, 5 meals a day, if they miss a meal, they kind of have like a panic attack, like they have to have it. And that's not a craving for food. That's a craving for something that's giving you a dopamine hit, similar to what a drug addict is experiencing. And so, what do you do just generally in terms of meal frequency?
So generally speaking, I definitely am more of like a big eater, so I like to feast if I can. So, I mean, and it may have taken some practice, but because, at one point I wasn't eating carnivore, so I was eating multiple meals a day just to stay full. When I transitioned, like I knew I liked really big meals. So I'd always do that and then let my hunger signals kick in. So I guess in more or less, like I like to eat lower frequency, high meals. And it totally depends on what I'm doing. Like, my workout schedule. And for example, like I work a desk job. I work from home like 40 hours a week. I'm sitting, I used to be a personal trainer. Now I'm doing this. So I
Yeah.
came across different obstacles. But so, if it's one of those days where I'm not working out and I'm like I always do, I'm sitting all day, I just eat when I'm hungry. That's typically later in the day. I'm generally speaking, I'm more or less I eat in the late morning to noon time frame. That's
Hmm.
just kind of when it all kicks in for me. Um, and then it's a big meal at night. And that's typically how I do it. There are days where if I need a lot of focus at work, I don't want to eat a massive, massive meal. It doesn't slow
Yeah.
me down too much, but it does a little bit, depending on how much fat I get. So I might do a few eggs in the morning, a few eggs in the late morning, let that ride to the end of the day. Again, if I get hungry, I eat. But more or less, it's about 2 meals a day is what I'd say, and I've done one plenty of times. So
Right on. Yeah, I go back and forth between 1 meal a day and 2 meals a day. I would say 4 days out of the week I'm averaging 1 meal a day, but it's
mhm.
dirty fasting, right? So I'm having like coffee and cream throughout the day, kind of as needed here and
Yeah,
there, wherever I feel like I don't know, like I'm tired or hungry or whatever, and like I don't have time to like actually sit down and eat a meal, then that's a good time to do it. And then having a keto brick handy, that's always a good move. Cool.
mhm.
I want to ask you a little bit more about epilepsy and your seizures, and so kind of work backwards a little bit. One thing, real quick, on addictions. Though, did I tell you about my PCP addiction?
No.
Yeah, protein, creatine, and pre-workout.
I understand. It better be a good joke. Yeah, exactly. I'll take a lot of creatine in my day, that's for sure. I love it.
Me too, man. Okay, so what is epilepsy?
I am no expert, even though this has kind of been in my world for, I guess we're kind of coming up on 9 years now in February. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I'll speak in as general terms as I can because I'm sure maybe there's doctors watch, you can correct me. But you know, epilepsy, it's a neurological disorder. These are people who are more prone to have recurring seizures.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between having a seizure, they happen in people all the time for no reason half the time. But when
Yeah.
they start becoming recurring, and I wouldn't say always constant, but they're happening, right? Especially if they're unprovoked, that's when I believe you get tagged with that. Um, you have epilepsy. Now, to me, it's a very broad thing because there's no real true thing they pinpointed that causes it. There's like a collection of things that you can kind of say, okay, all of these things are probably what caused it, regardless you have it or you don't, kind of thing. Um, so I've had a few in my life. I haven't in what's say 25, yeah, in like 2 years now or so, a little over. But I got to that point where I had a few, didn't think they were going to happen, and I basically asked my doctor, like, so I have epilepsy then. He's like, yeah, your seizures were provoked ones. But you've had multiple. So you generally have an epileptic disorder, and that's just kind of what it is. But um, yeah, I'll stop there and I'll have you ask more questions so I can dig into that further if you want. But yeah, more or less, my brain, I call it. Sometimes it gets a little sparky, and it's
Mm-hmm.
it's like a electrical activity that it can burst in a a neuron, and not burst like explode, but it sends a signal throughout the rest of your body, and you kind of just have the seizure. So if I'm stressed out or lack of sleep, I'm more prone to have one, and the signal doesn't shoot through normally. It kind of bursts, and then it sends a signal through the rest of my body, and then I'm out. So that's just how it happens. So
Yeah. What caused you to look at your diet as the remedy?
well, so when was so my I didn't really start thinking about it until, honestly, it wasn't, I didn't change my diet because of the epilepsy at first. I kind of fell into it. I've always been
Mm.
really into health and fitness, always been like a truth seeker when it comes to this stuff. So
Yeah.
I I did sports in high school. I studied kinesiology in college. I got my master's in public health in college. Like I've always been health oriented, into fitness. I was a personal trainer, all these things. So I'm never not trying to find ways to improve my health. And really, like, it was 2017 when I had my first one. I carried on as is. But around 4 to 5 years ago, I started playing with animal-based diets. And I saw massive improvements in just the way I felt. But it wasn't until 2 years ago when I started carnivore. And this was around the time where I started reading up more about, like, how ketogenic diets are used to help with these, neurological disorders. Mm-hmm. And it kind of just solidified it for me at that point. I noticed for a long time, up until the last 2 years, like if I don't sleep well, if I have stress, like I do feel a little pain point in the left side of my temple. And that's where the pain point is. That's the spot that causes seizures for me. I was like, okay, like, I remember Dr. Chafee talking about, like, sometimes you get the best results if you just cut out that last 10% of those carbs or those things that are hurting you. And I said, screw it, I'm going to do it. So I went carnivore now.
Yeah.
And in those 2 years, that pain that I was experiencing occasionally, used to be like 2 or 3 times a week, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And yearly I go to get an EEG done. And it basically, they have you close your eyes and they flash lights in front of you and they check the waves and see if there's anything going on. In the last 2 or 3 years, they have been fully normal. And I asked my doctor about that, and I told him, yeah, I just eat meat and that's it. And he's like, yeah, ketogenic diets help with this kind of stuff. And then I just haven't changed since. It's just, even if I experiment and eat some carbs once in a while, I don't feel right. And I'm just not going back. And so, wow. I kind of fell into it, but it makes me feel better, like knowing I can get in a car, and not have to worry about it as much. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. What's the damage that's caused by sitting?
When I was a trainer, I just learned a lot about just how to get people to move better, in a general sense. And a lot of these people were just desk bound, and I know it's a general term, but it kind of describes everyone, not everyone, but you could be any kind of like freelancer, work from home, you could work in the office. A lot of us are just sitting every day. And so when I worked as a trainer, and then over the years, I kept learning just how to kind of like resist the damage that you kind of acquire from sitting. I mean, you can imagine like what things get tight, what things get weak when you sit for long periods of time. And so my goal is to just show people really simple ways, simple techniques that they can deploy throughout the day to kind of like not just undo the sitting damage is the way I put it, but also like we can train in a way that reinforces this too. It really, the vehicle that drives all that is carnivore for me, because try eating a balanced diet and sitting all day and see what happens to you. Like, it's got to be really hard. Why not make it easy on yourself? So that's just kind of what I do, is just like through this, I've practiced this for a long time. I haven't talked to a PT. I just know what to do because I practice it and I do it all the time. Like what you see me doing is what I'm actually doing throughout the day, So, yeah, I know that was a long-winded answer too, but I'm trying to help people like feel like an athlete, even though you sit all day, because desk work isn't going anywhere, and the vehicle is carnivore. Could be low carb, meat-based diet if you want. Like you got to give people some slack, right? But you add these 3 things together and it's kind of like a total solution I feel like people could really use. So that's what I'm trying to show people, is like, yeah, you don't got to follow all these influencers. You can't really do that. But like, sometimes it's hard to grab information from so many different places when it's just like, that's simpler than that. Like move your body a little bit throughout the day, fuel with meat, and train in a way that stops the pain from coming at all. And that's just what I'm really trying to get out there and put out there. So,
so what actually happens to your spine when you're sitting? Like, what's the I know that your glutes aren't activated too when you sit, and so that's a big problem. What kind of damage takes place to your musculoskeletal system from sitting?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, certain muscles turn off for sure, but like I know a lot of people have like neck, middle spine and low back pain, and there's a ton of things that come with that. But I mean, your body has a lot of weight to it, even if you're a light person. If you're sitting in a position that's not human like, we're supposed to be standing, we're supposed to be erect. I mean, there's a lot of spinal compression going on.
Hmm.
That's just where it starts. But like, okay, now your hip flexors are getting tight. Your glutes are turning off. So now your low back's taking off the load. And then it kind of puts you in that vicious cycle. Now you have what's called that tech neck where your head's jutting forward because you're hunched all the time.
Yep.
And, the way I describe it or think about it is like all the muscles you use to hug a tree, your hip flexors and, the pec and things like that, those get tight. And then the muscles behind that reinforce it are supposed to get weak. So I'm trying to like show people like how to like
Wow.
balance this all out. Again, I'm no mobility expert. I mean, I do it every day. I've been doing it every day for years. I've spent years as a personal trainer, going to seminars. I know the stuff. I know what I'm talking about. But it's like it doesn't have to be complicated. Like just think about what you're doing and then put in a simple fix. So, and that is just one way to describe it. It's like if you're hugging a tree, you're climbing up it. All those muscles, they get tight if they're in that position at all times. And I don't want to make people like stretch necessarily. It's mobility work, but like you got to loosen those things up and strengthen them. You got to strengthen the muscles behind it too to really help kind of reinforce that. So trying to show people desk worker specific things they can do to feel good all the time.
Yeah. I got my certification in NASM, National Academy of Sports Medicine, and they teach the integrated training model. And so every single workout plan that anybody is undergoing should include flexibility. It should include cardio. It should include core, quickness, agility, speed, plyometrics, balance, and resistance training. And so for me, resistance training and balance are definitely where I specialize. For you, the mobility and flexibility. That's some and core, I would imagine, is something that you work with a lot of your clients. And so a typical workout plan for somebody that sits at a desk, what does that look like? That is
you
otherwise
know,
sedentary.
yeah, it kind of all depends on, I mean, it's always going to depend on the person because we all have our different ailments, but like, you know, like I said, I'm a desk worker now, so I do things differently now. Like we all, again, I can't speak for you, but when I started like lifting and working out, like what am I 34 now? So like 20-ish years ago, you get into the bodybuilding stuff, and I love it because
Mm-hmm.
there's balance there, there's volume, you can get bigger. More or less, I fell in love with the bench press because who doesn't? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what guy doesn't? Squatting, deadlifting, all that stuff too. But you know, when performed well, the bench press is great. You could say this for any movement, but like for me, I noticed that I'm hunching so much more than I ever have.
Mm-hmm.
That movement doesn't feel good on my shoulders anymore. And you still got to train people, but maybe a dip would be better for you. Maybe dumbbells would be better for you. Maybe just neutral grip push-ups would be better for you. I'm trying to put people in a spot that's less intimidating, but can still get you to a strong body and a good looking physique in a way that reinforces resisting sitting damage. So, I like to have people do, like when I was a trainer, like dumbbell bench press, maybe a neutral grip version, maybe pressing is hard for someone so they can do a windmill or an overhead carry. Maybe deadlifting is hard for someone, so it's an RDL. So I'm not really taking anything that people aren't suggesting already, saying, hey, do this with good form. But I think a lot of people don't know how to implement certain things. They don't know how to switch or modify the exercise to not only build the muscle in a pain-free way, but like reinforce what they're doing all day, which is sitting. So, you know, I think it's just more important for desk workers to make those modifications, but also focusing on your core and your glutes and your back and your postural muscles. You focus on those instead of just pressing, you're going to have a much better time because I want people to go from their desk to their life without pain. You know,
Yeah.
it you don't want to be an athlete, but like you don't want to be bending down and being in pain because you're low back. You want to be able to reach over your head when you're helping your parents like lift that thing into the car, like, so I just try to find the best exercise that work well for people in that regard. And, you can get there doing things differently. So.
What's up, carnivores? Coach Colt here with a friendly reminder not to overtrain your muscles or your mind for that matter. So we're going to take a break for just a couple of minutes. I'm going to share with you something inspiring and something entertaining for a second, and then we'll get right back into the meat. Every week we feature a listener-inspiring success story from one of you. We call it L.I.S.S for short, not to be confused with low-intensity, steady-state cardio. This week's listener-inspiring success story is from Holly Cammarata, all the way from Alabama. Holly, thank you so very much for sending this in. Listeners, you should totally follow her on Instagram. I'm going to plug that in the show notes. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Holly Cammarata.
Hey, Carnivore Coaches Corner. My name is Holly. I am a 47-year-old mom of 3 and 6-year-old boys. We live in Alabama with my husband, Tony. We have been following the show for about 2 years now, and I've been moving in and out of different versions of carnivore and keto that whole time, while also battling what I now know is sugar addiction. I finally reached out to Coach Colt because I just really wanted to get a handle on my situation. We agreed to start a 4-month carb sober program. I was hesitant because I just really, really, really love my signature private ice cream sugar binge nights. As a homeschooling mom, it just always really took the edge off, but I know it's not good for me. I want to be a healthy and happy, highly capable mom for my boys for decades to come. So with Colt's encouragement, I finally went full carnivore this last week, and it has been a great experience. I've been really satisfied with my meal plan. My energy and my mood have been really good considering it's a hectic time of year around Christmas. It was just the icing on the cake when I rechecked my in-body scan at the end of the week, and I was down 4 pounds and 2% body fat while also maintaining my lean mass. It was very exciting. It's the first time that my numbers have trended in a positive direction since for months. Let's just say for months. So heading into holiday travel, I am actually less stressed about battling sugar temptations, and just more concerned about trying to troubleshoot staying on my plan while traveling on the road, staying with family. But I finally feel like my motivation and my plan and my support are all finally aligning, and I'm really excited to see where I'm going to end up in 4 months and what that's going to lead to. So thanks so much, Coach Colt.
Thank you again, Holly, for submitting your success story. Listeners, if you have an inspiring success story, send a video or an audio over to Coach Richard or myself on Instagram, email, whatever is easiest for you, and we will get your message out so that everybody can hear it. The carnivore community is growing across the globe, and the more that we all share what's working for us, the more that we all learn and grow from each other. And in other news, there is still no shortage of fraudulent coaches online. So please beware who you are listening to on social media. Clowns, bellends, blokes, whatever you want to call them. Here's another deceptive Instagram reel that was sent to me by Rusty, actually. So thanks a lot for sending this one over to me, bro. Somebody needs to say something to these fake coaches that are spreading lies. So once again, send me whatever videos got you confused on your facts, and Rich and I will help you pick it apart. Here we go. Listen to this.
Man, this looks good.
Attaboy, look at all that protein.
Bro, didn't you just get done wrestling?
Nice work. My son's a wrestler too.
Yeah, look how good this meal looks.
Beautiful. Very, very good. So post-workout is actually when your body is going to be producing most of that testosterone, IGF-1, human growth hormone, and all that meat that you're eating is going to encourage more production of those anabolic hormones.
Well, if you were an influencer, sure, but you're an athlete.
What's wrong with it?
You need to reduce the fat and protein and up the carb.
Time out. Never ever tell a kid to eat less protein post-workout if that's what he feels like he needs. And carbohydrates are going to suppress secretion of human growth hormone post-workout too.
Let me help you.
Kids are smarter than you think. My son and I both have conditions that make us not tolerate carbs very well. Another reason why there's a lot of us athletes that perform better without any carbohydrates. But if he is going to eat carbs, those are pretty good choices because white rice and raw organic honey are both low in lectins and oxalates, and so that'll help minimize any oxidative stress that he might encounter from eating those carbs in the first place. Just make sure that the honey is real honey and doesn't have any high fructose corn syrup in it, because that would block absorption of 3 of the major amino acids that he's already getting from that meat.
Follow for more if you want to train at your best.
And better yet, if he really does want carbs, that should be his pre-workout meal, not his post-workout meal.
All right, so there you go, everybody. Any questions on anything that I just said? Facts, studies? I actually did spend a decent amount of time making sure that I had my facts straight before I made that reel and posted it on Instagram. But anyway, yeah, hit me up with any questions on that. All right. On a brighter note, back into the meat with Coach Steven. Do you have one exercise? Do you have one exercise that you kind of find yourself just like recommending across the board? I'm a bodybuilder, right? And so like my kind of like favorite exercises to recommend for anybody, like no matter what whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, whether you've done bodybuilding before or not, anything for the rear deltoids, right? Face pulls, face pulls, reverse pec decks. It's like if someone's coming to me to help them improve their physique, that's kind of the number one thing that I know with everybody is lacking, because it's a muscle that you can't see. And it's so crucial to get that 3-dimensional shoulder look, man. So like, what's kind of like your staple exercise or something that you find yourself prescribing often?
Yeah. You know, I love so many exercises. I don't know if I have just one, but yeah, I'd have to, I mean, I guess it just depends. I think the rear delt work is super underrated too. I mean, I wouldn't even call it underrated. It needs to be.
Yeah. I mean,
so
even for postural, like postural therapy too, 100%, and for mobility. I mean, not just aesthetics, but I imagine that's one that you would be teaching as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for me, like I do have some shoulder pain right now, so like if I'm working my shoulders, I just do a bunch of rear delt work. Like I'll do those, like the reverse pec deck is one. You know, your I's, Y's, and T's, like usually chest supported out of bench, because I don't want people, like, you know, like a barbell row. Like I don't want them trying to hold that position, because it could be tough in your low back for someone who's already in pain. So, you know, chest supported rows, chest supported I's, Y's, and T's, rear delt work is huge. You know, I do think that just, you know, as human beings, like really perfecting the hinge movement is super important. That's a harder one to teach than people think, because you don't want someone going from, like, if you can't do body weight RDL, I don't want you on the barbell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I still want you to train that movement, because I want your back and core and glute strong. So, and maybe it's generic, but I do think like your RDLs and honestly your kettlebell swings are like going to be so important, because it's one of those grease the groove type of movements where like you start light, you can still work the abs, the core, and, you know, the glutes with a lot of reps until you can master it before going on to those bigger things. So, you know, rear delt work's big. I'd say the hinge movement, like swings and RDLs, are really important. Single leg deadlifts if you want. But also, I think loaded carries are really good too. You know, because that is, I mean, that is such a good way to. That'll teach you to pull the shoulders back too. That'll work your core. You're walking, so you're building work capacity. It's going to translate to everyday life too, and really kind of reset things. So, those are some of the basics. But I mean, man, really, like, there's a switch for everything too. Like maybe back squats hurt your back. Do a front squat. You know, it's those types of things. So, yeah, I just kind of modified those things, and that's what I do now.
Yeah, fantastic. I do those loaded carriers or farmer carriers, whatever you want to call them, all the time actually, but not in the gym. Never in the gym, because I'm doing them for gigging all the time. So, but like when I first moved here to San Diego, and I was carrying my bass and my amp everywhere. My first week, my back was just a wreck, and my neck, my traps. I had I don't know if it's called text neck or what is exactly what the term is, but when it feels like you have a steel rod going in your neck, like I had that going on for like a week, and so I've had to really work on improving my posture and like actually be like having my chest up. But that's been giving me quite a bit of isometric trap work, and like even grip strength too. So overhead squat test, is that something that you use to like kind of assess where people's posture is at when you start working with them? Or
yeah, I mean, I would
say single leg squat posture analysis, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have, I guess I have no set thing that I do, but I always look at the basic movements first, like just general squat, hinge, press, in row, things like that. If I put someone in a squat and it doesn't look very good, and the press, same thing too. If you bring that thing overhead and someone has an issue bringing the bicep behind the ear with their neck in line with their spine and being able to hold that at top nice and perfectly, I already know they're going to have those issues. So I'll take a look at the squat. I'll take a look at the press. I do have ways where I can elevate their feet a little bit and give them a pair of light dumbbells and press that overhead to see if we can kind of get things, straightened out a little bit more. But gosh, as dumb as it sounds, like you can kind of tell, not just by looking at someone, but you see them pick up a dumbbell or a kettlebell or something like that, and you put them in a basic movement, you can kind of already see where the issues are. If they have that butt wink, they might need to work on the hip flexors and the core. If they can't bring their, arm into a full extended overhead press, good clean rep, you got to do some rear delt work and probably some neck work and things like that. Because you definitely want to make the body, you want to make it move right before you start building on top of that. You know what I mean? So, those are just some things that I look out for.
You made an Instagram post about the 0-minute breakfast.
Yeah, that's what I call it here, to attract people. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So what is that? Can you explain it?
Well, I don't know which one you're looking at, but like I call them that because I think people want the best foods they can eat to get them to their goals. And I'm sure people don't want to spend too much time making it. Maybe you're a chef or something and you do not mind cooking. But like for me, I'm super busy. My job requires me to focus. So like, I don't want to be thinking about what I'm going to eat in that day. I kind of want to have it ready. So again, I don't know which one you're looking at, but
it's eggs and ham.
Is it the eggs and ham, or there's the eggs and salmon? Yeah. Literally, I mean, it kind of goes back to meal prepping, but it's one of those things where I go to the store and I get, meat, more or less, meat and eggs. And I try to either prepare it in a form where I could just go get delicious food from the fridge in 0 minutes. I have meals that take 10 minutes to make, and some that are 5, some that are 15. Regardless, it's all quick. But I can go to the store and for cheap get a set of a ton of pasture raised eggs. I just really like ham. That's why I threw it out there. But I got this uncured, antibiotic free, whatever ham, and I just prepare it on a Sunday. And then for the week, all I got to do is I can create any combination of any great meal I want in 0 minutes by just pulling this thing out. And I know if I eat that meal, I have everything my body needs for a day in that one meal. I'll have to eat more, of course, but I don't between meetings, on a lunch break, it's hard to think of a work break or a lunch break when you work from home. People think you can just, take a break whenever, but at noon, I like to work out. So I go work out at noon. I want something quick after. I want to be able to go into my fridge and pull something out and either just warm it up or have it ready for me. So that's kind of what that entails for me. But it could be anything you want. I make the roast, the lamb roast I was telling you about. I made that in the slow cooker. I keep it on warm and I put it in the fridge and container, but I just pull that out, warm it up, and I'm good for the day now. So that's kind of where those things go. It's like if you just wake up and have one of these meals, you're gonna be good all day long. You're not gonna think about food, and you're gonna get the best nutrition you can. And it's gonna help you feel a lot better when you're working all day, especially if you need to focus and you need energy that's really consistent and doesn't spike a lot or crash a lot. That's what I would recommend for people to do.
Yeah, awesome. When you're traveling and like, are you meal prepping when you travel? Do you have restaurants that, like, kind of favorite restaurants that you go to that always have the right food that's going to help you feeling, performing, sleeping at your best?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few different things I do for when I'm on the run or traveling or things like that. Like if I'm traveling, honestly, what I do is before I leave, I just eat the biggest meal I can, because then I know I'm full.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's 5 a.m. and I got to make a flight. Like, especially if I prepare it, like either what I'll do is I'll be fine with, if I know it's a few hours, I'm fine with fasting, like, because you're eating carnivore, like you're good at all times, But if I know I have a big, heavy day where I might need some extra energy, there's travel, there's like hang out with friends, I don't know what you might be doing, but I will eat a massive meal in the morning at 5 a.m. or whatever it is. And then I know I'm good until the end of the day if I have to. And I don't have to worry if I didn't get enough nutrition, protein, etc. So that's what I do. Another thing, like restaurants, like I just always go to a steakhouse. Like if I can find one, I just know there's going to be steak there. Yep. You can look at menus and find if there's steak there, or you can order a burger without the patty or whatever, or without the bun or whatever it is. Or I bring things with me that are really quick, like high quality beef sticks or hard boiled eggs. I am not afraid to eat half a stick of butter before going anywhere to keep me full. Like I'm not afraid to do that. You know what I mean? Like if I, especially in the mornings, like I am one of those people that can eat at all times. I'm good. Like I'm not weird about, I can't have this food at this time because it's not a breakfast food, or I'm not like that. I can eat anything at any time. If I don't want a big meal in the morning, but I want to focus, I will just eat a couple tablespoons of some sort of fat, and that might be butter, it might be something else. So, and I'll deploy that, and I have energy throughout, those days when I'm traveling or when I don't have time, things like that. So you just got to work with what you have and then plan ahead. Like, honest to God though, and I'm just being real with people. Like, I can fall off carnivore. Like, I mean, generally speaking, I'm like 90 to 95% carnivore. Like, I don't go out there and try to do crazy things, but like, look, like I eat carnivore 90% of the time. Like, I know that if someone says, here, take a bite of this cookie, or I'll try it. Like, I'm not going to do that 100 times, but like, I can do those things. And it's carnivore's allowed me to, if I have to, have fun and, eat some things that taste good, but I know I won't have later. And I'm still going to be just as healthy as I was before too. So even if that means going out with friends or whatever it is, again, I'm not saying do it, but if you follow that 90% rule, or maybe it's 80, like, God, your life is just going to be so much better. Like, and it just is for me too. And I don't even try, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you're a pro at what you do. Like, I'm a pretty lean guy, I'm not perfect, but 5'9", 180, and you can see abs, and I don't do anything more than what I'm showing you on Instagram. I move around a little bit, I work out a few times a week, and I eat carnivore, and that just falls into place for you, and for people who worry like how strict it is, you can't have fun. Like, no, you can. You got to be smart about it. But like, if you do this 90% of the time, you'd be good.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's some people that like have they can have a bite of a cookie and they can stop, and they can have half of a muffin and forget about the other half of it. And then there's people like me that can't. As soon as I have a piece of candy, then I'm thinking about more. And I mean, like, as a kid, I've learned that I have a very, very, very addictive personality, right? And so anything that's remotely addictive, I get addicted to it like that.
Same.
And it'll produce a craving that doesn't go away. And so, like, alcohol, drugs, for me, huge problem. But yet I know people that that will do cocaine like once a year. I'm like, what? I can't wrap my brain around that. Like that's like the most arguably the most addictive substance on the planet. But I think they prove that sugar is even more addictive than that. Right. So for me personally, like throughout the holidays, this is kind of something I wanted to get into a little bit as well. Is kind of like what your game plan is for the holidays. All of my client calls that I have before Christmas were, I just got to figure out where everybody's at. And some people, they would have more anxiety just saying no to everything instead of just like having a bite of cake here and there and being able to enjoy everything in moderation. They can do it and they won't fall off the wagon. Me, no, like I won't fall off the wagon, but I will enjoy the holidays much less actually if I'm eating if I'm eating sweets, because it's just going to produce cravings for more, and it can never ever get satisfied. Like even as a kid, like I would eat an entire box of cereal and want another box of cereal after that. Like there's just some people have very, very addictive personality types, and so I'm kind of somebody that falls into that category. So you what's and so I guess through Christmas I'm gonna eat just venison and beef and whatever meats, whatever fats there is at our meals. But another one of my clients and I were going to make keto cakes for New Year's, and so that we don't feel left out when everybody else is eating their treats. And so I encourage people, like, if you can do it, and if it like wouldn't be weird in that like situation, to bring something to add to the event instead of taking away from it and being like the person that's like sad and not eating what everybody else is eating. Well, bring something fun and creative to share, right? I go to Cocaine Anonymous meetings, right? And so that's my somebody was celebrating 33 years of sobriety, and so I baked using metabolic nutrition protein powder and keto bricks, the first cake that I've ever baked in my life, actually, and it was fucking awesome, dude. Yeah, man. I didn't even tell him. I didn't even tell him that it was keto, and so and they loved it, and it was a hit, right? So what's your game plan through the holidays, through Christmas?
I will say I am exactly like you. Like it might take me some time to build up to certain things, like cocaine, whatever it is, like, but I won't try it because I know you can cut this out if you have to. I will not stop on purpose. I know I'll love it. I know for a fact I would, and I'm just like that. Weirdly though. And I think mainly, I don't know, maybe I don't crave sweets as much. I crave like Doritos, if it's anything, right? Like salty kind of things. So I guess that helps me out. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm planning to not 100% not eat something that's not carnivore, right? Like a bite of this here or there. For some reason, when I have those foods, I don't want much more of it. And even so, my body just tells me so much more naturally now, that's not real food. Don't eat that after a couple of days of eating it. And I just don't. But, so I'm going to give myself 10% of flexibility, but really, I think I'm just going to do what I said before, is before I go to my grandma's for the big holiday festivities, I'm going to eat a big meal in the morning that's meat based. So if I get there and I'm like, they're trying to shove food at me, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm so full, because I actually will be full. But, there's going to be meat there. So I'll just eat that, And people, my family's always known, like, I've always been like kind of a health nut. So like, they're not going to question it. I do have a sibling that's vegan, which that's funny, but and he's a cardiologist too, so it's even funnier. He hates the way I eat, but I also don't look weak. But I guess, I'm just going to do what I always do. I'm just going to eat a big meal before I go. If I'm not hungry, I'll fast till dinner and just eat the meat. And, that'll make me full. And once I'm full, if I don't want that bite of whatever sweet thing it is, like I probably just won't want it, but I'm also going to tell myself, hey, if it comes down to it, you can have a bite or two. And if I want to prepare something to bring them, I'll make a meat-based dish to bring over, and then that's what I bring. So, just anything I can do to stay on it.
Yeah. Well done. Love it.
Yeah.
Question that I wanted to ask you, actually, that I've been kind of wondering is, I've been for a long time now practicing and or playing an average of 3 hours a day, my bass guitar, right? And so when I'm performing, I'm always standing, except for when I'm doing stuff at the very high end of the fretboard. Well, here, I have it right here. So when I'm like way up here, at the top of the neck, right? I'm like, I kind of have to sit down to be able to do what I want, depending on how fast I'm playing. Right. But I try to have about half of my time sitting and half of it standing, just so that I'm not in one position all the time. And so I'm kind of curious as to if sitting part of the time is better than just standing and playing all the time, because I just get stiff and feel like I've been in one position too long. Also, if I feel like I'm kind of hitting a wall, if I'm trying to get a lick down or an exercise down and I've been standing for a while at it, then sometimes just sitting is just like something different. And so it gives my body a break from standing, and then I can nail it. That was one question that I had. And then legs crossed, like, is that different than just sitting down like you're sitting in a chair? Because for me, I feel like my posture and even my focus is better from sitting with my legs crossed. And so I try to spend a decent amount of time doing that too.
Yeah. Well, question one. Yeah. I'm the same way. I think from what I understand, what I've experienced, like, I don't, you find people that say the more you stand, the better. I'm not against that, but like, sometimes you got to sit down too and rest the muscles that are helping you stand up as well. It's not like you can't sit, you know what I mean? Like, I've I don't know, there's if you've not met, but if you ever heard of Stu McGill, he's like from what I remember, a pretty prominent PT that, has a lot of corrective exercises you can kind of go look up and follow. He's an older guy. Met him at seminars, things like that. And he would always recommend you stand, right? But he would always also say too, like, if you're standing stiff, you're going to want to move around a little more to kind of offset, like locking your knees, like some people do. And so he might recommend like moving side to side a little bit or something like that. But I don't see an issue with, needing to sit down for whatever you're trying to do. I think you just need to move more in general. I think you need to listen to your body, and that's fine too. It'll give you signals. Like for me, I sit a lot. I know my upper back and neck are gonna be sore, so I know I have to focus on that part. But if I'm standing and my knees start hurting, I might have to sit. So.
Yesterday, I was playing at Ocean Beach for 2.5 hours straight. I stumbled across a guy that was playing smooth jazz, and he was playing a variety of Latin music. And I've been focusing on Latin music quite a bit lately myself. And so we started. Well, I just asked him if I could throw in with him, and he said, yeah, he was playing for tips. And so we had probably 30 or 40 people that were gathered around us, and we just didn't stop. And there were a couple other musicians that came in too, and so. To help me to stay focused the entire time that I'm playing, and like not get stiff and whatnot. Just moving to the beat, like moving my hips around and stuff. That always helps. Tapping my feet. I mean, anything. I'm glad that you brought that up. Moving, just keeping yourself moving the entire time. For me, I find that very helpful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're meant to move around. Like, again, if you have a job, like, you can't just be moving constantly. But like, I'm like you, where like this desk that I'm at actually does stand up, but I switch between the two
Yeah.
because sometimes I just want to sit, and that's fine. It's about, just being conscious and fixing what you need to fix. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? So yeah, if I'm standing and if I'm not like, bending each knee, like and shifting side to side a little bit, they will get stiff and locked out too. Now, it's not better. My body's not better now that I'm standing when my knees hurt and my glutes don't like, yeah, I fixed the glute thing by standing more, but now my knees hurt. So you kind of just have to move around a bit. And that's why I try to show people like exercises they can do, because you can just get up from your desk and just like move around a little bit. And you can pick a point that hurts you and just focus on that spot, and you're moving around more, and calories or whatever, but like you are burning more calories, I guess. And
Right.
it's just one way to get more. And I don't look at it that way, calories in, calories out, but layperson, you moved more, blood is circulating, you kind of exercise, or you've gotten some physical activity and it corrected something. So
Yeah.
just do what you can, so.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're not counting calories either. That's something else that I get a lot of questions on. But it doesn't account for ketogenesis. It doesn't account for the thermic effect of food. It doesn't account for it doesn't account for hormonal changes that take place depending on what you eat. And so, that reminds me of one last question that I had for you, man. We're getting close to the end of the hour, so this has been great. By the way, I've learned a lot. But walking backwards.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something that I heard Stephen Thomas talk about and said that it was helpful for your lower back, and so I actually do that quite a bit. So like at the so I'll go to the gym, and I don't really do cardio, like hardly ever. I let my diet do everything when I'm on prep, right? Because cardio just makes me hungry. It makes it hard for me to stick to my diet, and it's very catabolic, right? And so I have a lot easier time maintaining muscle mass if I'm abstaining from cardio. But like to keep myself moving though, sometimes I'll go to the gym and actually just everything that I need to do on my iPhone, bam, just kind of knock it out all at once. And I'll spend a decent amount of the time walking backwards on the treadmill. I was worried for a while that, if you're walking forwards, you're burning calories. And if you're walking backwards, like, wouldn't that be adding calories? No, just kidding.
That'd be awesome. You try to bulk, you just start walking backwards for a while. If it worked that way.
For sure. But is there any science to that, or is that just bro science?
Again, like, I do not think that's bro science. There's a guy who's really good with this stuff. Have you followed Knees Over Toes guy?
Yes.
Yeah. He's awesome. And that's what
great.
got me into it. I mean, when I was a trainer, I had clients do reverse. So there's a sled push. I had them do the sled pull. Like, get a rope on there, hold it with your arms, and like you have the sled with the weight on it, and you just walk backwards with it. I think strengthening your quads is in that way is easy on the joints, but really strengthens it. So it's really good for the knees. And you mentioned that, did you mention that do you do it for low back, or someone
lower back? Yeah.
Does it for low back? Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I don't know exactly how the quad strengthening that specific part helps with the low back. I mean, everything's connected, but I do notice that if I do those things, it really helps with the overall function of my body. Like, you strengthen your quads, I think your quads are going to take more of the load. It might straighten your posture out from a stacking perspective, like from the hips to the spine to the neck. That's really going to help a lot. I mean, depending on how you're walking, I think you're just going to pull everything back and strengthen the things that need to be strengthened. So no, I don't think that's bro science. I actually do that myself too. I haven't in a while because I try to work out at home. We don't have a treadmill here, so I do have like a Planet Fitness membership where I just go to walk if it's cold, because I'm in Michigan, it's not warm. So,
Right.
But I definitely will walk for a bit, and then I will turn around and walk backwards as well. And I'm probably not supposed to do this, but I will turn the treadmill off and hold on to the sides and push it forward for extra resistance. And I find that like, I just generally feel a lot better when I do that, specifically in the knees. It not as much in the low back, maybe just because I don't notice it, but like that is really, really helpful from removing pain in the low body for me. And I don't know why, but I think it's important for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
What are you training for right now? Anything in particular?
Nothing in particular. Like, I mean, the goal is always to get stronger, you know, but
what's a typical
competition wise?
What's a typical workout look like for you today? Like, what kind of split are you on?
I mess around with a lot of things, and I will say I've been messing around, if you want to put it that way, like for the last couple of years, where like I'm trying out new exercises, new ways to work out. Like I have a mix of dumbbells, kettlebells, I do barbell work, but I mean, more or less, like what has worked for me lately, and again, you know, I'm not old, but I have a lot of miles lifting wise on me. Not a lot of pain, but I know I've had to modify things. So I kind of like upper lower splits right now. I do like full body, but I like upper lower splits just like that because I can either do upper lower rest, upper lower, or just strictly alternate upper rest, lower rest, upper rest, and feel good all the time. Because I don't think people really understand, depending on how heavy you're lifting and if you're advanced or not, how important, I mean, you know, but recovery is so important. And I don't think people realize when their CNS is fatigued, especially when they're doing big movements, whether it's a clean or a bench press or a squat or whatever. So if I give myself an upper lower split and I alternate days, again, I can do upper lower rest, upper lower, or just alternate upper lower and rest in between. And I find that I can continue longer, like without having to deload like a power lifter. I still do, but you know, so like an upper body day will be a main movement, say it's an overhead press, and then I try to get a little bit more volume in the muscles that support the press movement. So like it might be rows or some other form of lat work, triceps, things like that. And that's kind of like an upper body day. And a lower would be like, okay, I'm picking a lower body exercise. This is the exercise that I'm going to focus on. This is the one I want to get stronger at. It's the cream of the crop. It's the bread and butter.
Yeah.
Barbell squat, for example. I will do that. Typically, I don't know what everyone considers lower volume, but it's not going to be like 5 by 15. You know what I mean? That's the one I want to get stronger at. And then what I'll do is I'll do lighter exercises that are low back or hamstring oriented, and maybe a little more quad work to kind of like make the squat stronger. So I pick a few exercises that I like. I keep them for 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 8. I try to get better at them within reason each week. And then I might switch things up depending on my pain points or what I want to fix or work on that day. So cool. That's kind of how I do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, awesome, brother. Thank you for being on the show. You have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, it's so same name as on Instagram, just deskstrong. I know it's kind of cheesy, but you know what? It is what it is. And basically what I have out there is, you know, I'm just showing people what I do. You know, I'm still kind of working on the ecosystem of my brand, figuring it all out, what I can put out there product wise. But right now, that's what you'll see. And I just want people to go look at it and go, hey, yeah, I can do that. And that's not that hard. And I'll get results. What I'm showing you is exactly what I do. And that's all it is. So, you know, that's where I'm at on both sites there. So,
hell yeah. Well, go follow him. Go check out his YouTube channel, everybody, and follow him on Instagram. What is your Instagram handle?
Same thing. It'll be one word, deskstrong.
Cool.
It's the same on YouTube too. So
I think it's got a blue check next to it too, right?
Yes. Yeah, it does. And yeah, follow me on my path. I'm just going to be throwing some things out there, and hopefully it becomes useful for you guys. And as always, go meat too. I mean, you have to eat meat. That's the main thing. You need a lot of it, and mainly just that. So I'm telling you right now, it's the best thing you can do. So
cool, man. Good deal. Any big plans? Any big plans for the holidays? Traveling or anything special? You gonna keep it low key?
Yeah, not traveling like you are, I don't think. I don't know where you're from originally, but yeah, just my family that kind of lives in the neighborhood, so we'll be going over there. I might go see my dad too, and just bopping around and seeing everyone, friends and family. So it'll be a good, relaxing break.
Good stuff. Yeah, I'm from Montana originally, so I am really wanting to get high on some white powder. So gonna go skiing.
Hey, that sounds great. I am not going near the lakes over here in Michigan. It's freezing, so it's flat. There's not much to do in the winter. I'm jealous of you, but yeah, I'll keep it low key otherwise. So
yeah, good deal, man. Well, thanks again for being on the show, Mr. Coach Steven. Go check out his YouTube channel, his Instagram, everybody. Thanks a lot, man. We'll have to do this again sometime. Appreciate you.
Anytime. Yep. Keep track, and we'll talk again. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. Make sure to let us know what you thought. You can feel free to shoot Rich or myself an email at admin@supersetyourlife.com, rich@theketopro.com, or you can send us a DM on Instagram. I am at Colt Milton, and then our business account for product purchases, which support the show, by the way, can be found at Primal Cuts Fit, and then Rich is at Richard Anthony Smith. Rich and I both offer private one-on-one nutrition consultations and monthly coaching services for those that are serious about getting some real results. First call, if you've never booked with either of us, is always free. If you're one of our listeners, we'd love to hear your story, answer your questions, and help you out in any way possible. Carnivore Coaching has been a cause worth dedicating our lives to. It's who we are, and we'd be honored to help you experience what this lifestyle has done for us, our families, and our clients. So that's all that we have until next week, everybody. You can check out Richard's Keto Pro podcast. Richard and his guests teach how to improve their health and well-being using a ketogenic diet. And like this show, Richard frequently features popular guests such as Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Jen Unwin, many others. And then my workout motivation podcast is called the supersetyourlife.com podcast. Share this with a friend if you found it helpful. We'll catch you later on session number 112. Until then, say this with us: eat like a lion, live like a lion. Love you guys. God bless, and have a good week until then.